Hello, everybody. Welcome back to day 5. This is our healing series for recovery and addiction. And I really hope that so far you guys have been discovering things about yourself, that you've actually been receiving some benefits from it. I don't know. I'm shooting this way ahead of time. So hopefully this is something that you're all enjoying. All right, guys, so today I wanted to talk about shadow work. Now, shadow work has this shadow work, scary kind of name, but shadow work is honestly one of the most powerful healing practices that you can ever do. You want to change your life, you want to have transformation on another level, shadow work is the way to go about it. So shadow work was really coined by Carl Jung, and what it really is ultimately, it's the unhealed aspects that we have suppressed, disowned, and denied. Now, this is one thing about shadow work that most people don't realize, is that shadow work doesn't just encompass the negative things, it actually can also encompass things like your talents, hidden aspects of you that you have not allowed out or that you have not become aware of. Think of it this way. The shadow is the things that we do not see. So when we do shadow work, we basically put the light onto it and then it reveals itself to us. Healing does not happen from the conscious. Healing, true transformation, true healing happens on the subconscious level. Because the conscious, we're aware of it. The subconscious, we do not know. So shadow is ultimately allowing ourselves to become aware of the aspects of us that are living in the subconscious and bringing it up to the surface so that we can heal it and transform our lives. Now, when it comes to addiction, it's in the shadow. Because I bet so many of you, if you already knew and understood to the core level why you do what you do, your triggers, where this started, all of it, the root cause of it, you would do something about it, right? Okay, so today I've actually got notes on my shadow work stuff because I want to make sure that I cover everything. So let's begin with talking about an example of how shadow manifests. An example of shadow work, for instance, could be something like people, for instance, who are constantly attracting, okay, I can give an example of myself. Abandonment. So in my childhood, I experienced abandonment. I can never say that word. I don't know why I picked that one. So I was abandoned as a child. There were certain things that happened that made me feel abandoned. So how the shadow basically reveals itself is that as I got older, I constantly attracted relationships or friendships where people abandoned me. And once again, this is a subconscious thing that happens, and so it begins to manifest into your life. And that's one way, by the way, I will go through on how to become aware of the shadow. There are 3 things that are key factors as to the shadow showing up. Another example of shadow could be like, why is it that some people have the power, and this is a gift, for instance, they have the power to manifest money like that? They're just lucky, right? Lucky. They just attract money. They just attract wealth. It's easy for them to make money. And other people, no matter what they do, no matter how hard they try, they just cannot attract money. Once again, this is the shadow aspect. Now, you can do all the healing that you want, but until you really get down to the core of it, your core beliefs, the foundation of all of it, and you shift that, then you shift your energy, you shift your frequency, you shift your mindset, you shift everything. And therefore you start shifting your reality, and therefore you start shifting the outcome. Okay, so this is another example. You ever hear about people who constantly end up in abusive relationships? They just seem to be a magnet for it. And a lot of the times, this is where people go, well, I have a hard time believing that that person went from one abusive relationship to the next. This is a pure example, again, of shadow work. The unhealed subconscious aspects of that person that is manifesting on the outside. And in a way, you got to think of it this way. The reason why they keep attracting that partner in different people, the same lesson in different people, it's because it needs to be healed. It's an unhealed aspect of your subconscious that's been suppressed, disowned, and denied. So you keep attracting the same partner in a different body, and you keep reliving the same lesson over and over and over again. And the way to break the pattern is to actually heal it, to make a different choice, to start healing that. So the abusive relationship, or whatever it may be, is not, once again, a sign of the shadow. So let's talk about the key importance of the shadow. The shadow work can be done the wrong way, okay? And it can also be done the right way. The whole point of shadow work is that you want to do the complete opposite of what you've been doing. So what is shadow again? You've been suppressing, disowning, and denying aspects of yourself. And the more you do it, the more shadow you cast, by the way. The more you suppress, the more you fight, the worse you make it for yourself. So what is the opposite of that? Accepting, integrating, and loving those aspects of yourself. Even the aspects that you do not like. This is where the shadow work is incredibly challenging, but is one of the most loving types of healing that you can ever do. I know it's a bit of a mind fuck, but I'll explain in a minute. In the end of the day, shadow really reveals the resistance that's going on. And remember, day 4, we talked about resistance to change. So when there is resistance, there is opposition. Opposition, think of it like two magnets going opposite each other. They just pull each other away. So we want to do the opposite and bring those aspects of ourselves together and unite. Remember, when we have a trauma, when anything major happens in our lives, our brains cannot cope with what is happening. And so it splits off different aspects of ourselves. And that's why it suppresses, disowns, and denies it. It puts it in the corner so that you can function and get through life. The problem is those aspects never just disappear. They're still there. They're just split off. And so things happen throughout the day and they kind of show up saying, hey, I'm still back here. I need healing. I need help. But then we just kind of do what we've been doing our whole lives, which is shut up. I don't want to listen to you. I don't want to hear what you have to say. Suppress, disown, and deny. There are three key, what did I say before? 3 important signs that will reveal that the shadow is active. Okay. So number 1, triggers. When we get triggered by something or someone out of the blue. Now, we can do more extreme examples. For instance, people with PTSD, when they get triggered, they're having a visceral reaction, which is on the outside, if you don't know what happened to them, it just looks like somebody's overreacting. But of course, on the inside, there's all these things are happening. And so they're just getting this massive wave of emotion, physically, emotionally, mentally, that is happening, which causes that reaction. So once again, triggers is a sign of the shadow. So if you're getting really, really, really triggered by something or someone, that is a sign of an unhealed aspect of you that you need to deal with. Now, as opposed to, once again, suppressing, disowning, denying it, what we need to start doing is looking at it and how can I love? How can I integrate? How can I accept this aspect of me? We'll get into the healing a little bit more about it in a minute. Number 2. Cyclical patterns, repetitive experiences in your life, like I talked about before with the abusive relationships. Okay, you keep attracting the same experience over and over and over and over again in your life, and it feels like you're trying to change, but obviously you're not really doing it. And so you keep attracting that situation over and over and over again, whether it's abandonment issues, whether it's abuse, whether it's not being able to hold money. It could be anything. So that's the second sign that the shadow, something that is healed, that is unhealed within you, is coming to the surface. And why? Because it's trying to be healed. It's like that part of you that's trying to get your attention and bringing up the lesson and revealing it to you so that you can actually do something about it and change that pattern in that moment. Because the healing is going to happen now. We can't go back to the past and heal or change what happened, even though you can kind of do that with meditation and all that sort of stuff. But really, you can only change, real change can happen in the now, which of course has a ripple effect towards your past and has a ripple effect towards your future. And the third thing that reveals the shadow, I think about the mirror, okay, and its reflection. Have you ever been in a room with like a friend, hanging out with your friend, and then somebody comes in and they're just bragging about their day, saying how amazing their day been, how they've accomplished all of these things, and how they've done this, this, and that. And your friend's like, oh, okay, cool. And you're like, I cannot stand that person. There's just something about that person that, I hate them. That's projection. Projection ultimately is when something or somebody on the outside is revealing the aspects of ourselves that we have suppressed, disowned, and denied. You see, somebody who's accepted their ego, who's comfortable with that aspect of themselves, they're not bothered by somebody else projecting that onto them. But if you are not accepting of those parts of yourself and somebody shows up, it amplifies that division, which causes pain within you, because ultimately you're rejecting aspects of who you are, even if it are other aspects that you don't like. There's still that discord, so it still creates a sense of pain and betrayal on a subconscious level, once again. And so that person bringing that up creates that resistance, creates even more resistance, even more suppressing, disowning, and denying, and therefore the projection happens. Okay, so I hope that was clear. I like to think of it in symbols. So I think about the mirror, I think about the circle, which is the repetitive patterns, and then I think about the gun, because when you think about a trigger, it's like a weapon going off. So when I'm triggered, sometimes when I'm triggered, I think, oh, gun, okay, I'm being triggered, my shadow's being active right now. So I really want you guys to think about of shadow work as a self-loving practice, as learning how to not fight yourself anymore, but when you see those things in other people or in yourself, to look within yourself and really try to accept, love, and integrate them. So what we're going to do now is that we're going to do a meditation on this, so we can just see if we find any of these suppressed, disowned, and denied aspects within us, any shadows. And we're going to try and integrate them as opposed to push them away. I also really encourage you, like I'm really touching on the very surface of shadow work, so I really encourage you to do your own research on this. There is a ton of information on YouTube and people who are way more experienced about shadow work than I am. But I just wanted to bring up the subject and give you the very basic information about it so that you can actually start implementing these practices for yourself and start, once again, just really becoming self-aware, because this is really what we're doing, just building up self-awareness so that we can start making different decisions. You see, you can't fix something that you're not aware of. You can't do something if you don't see what you're doing. You know, a lot of the times humans are like, you know, if we're like a car and our issue is the brakes, but somehow we fix the engine. That's what we do all the time. And we don't see what the problem is. We don't realize that it's actually the brakes, but we still want to fix something. So we just do whatever. And then we didn't really fix the real issue. We might have made the engine a little bit better, but really we're still broken. So, yeah, okay, so that's it. So let's get into the meditation now. All right, guys, so let's begin. Get yourself comfortable, lie down. If you're gonna sit up, make sure that you have back support so that you don't, wiggle around, because you just wanna get yourself into the most relaxed state as possible, because we wanna shut off the outside world. We wanna just give our minds permission to just open and not feel any distractions or anything that takes us out of the meditation. So let's begin by closing our eyes. And breathing in, breathing out, just noticing if there is any tightness in your chest or in your throat. And if there is, that's fine. Just be aware of it and tell your body you are safe. This is a time of healing, of going within. Let go. Let go of resistance. I'm here, I'm listening, I'm showing up for you today. Let's begin with an energy cleanse, so calling down your guides, your angels, and your higher self to assist us today through this meditation, to invite self-awareness and to awaken the subconscious, the shadow that lives within you, so that you may bring that shadow to the surface, into the light, and you may be able to take the next step to heal and to change your life. So visualizing a beautiful gold light shine above you. This is warm, melting honey energy, just so yummy and inviting. And just feeling that frequency surrounding you. It's a very high frequency. Connecting you to your guides, to your higher self, to your angels, or whatever you wish that higher power to be. Just allowing you to access information from another source. And also inviting in the assistance from the higher power so that you don't have to do this alone. And just saying yes to this energy, just saying yes to this frequency, saying yes to this support, and saying yes to awakening, to becoming more self-aware, to owning your choices, to owning your life. And breathing in this gold light and inviting it into your heart, activating your heart and opening your heart to receiving love and support today. So that you don't have to be alone, that you have support and love from your guides and from your spiritual team. So let's begin with triggers. Remember, the gun, a weapon. When we get triggered, not much may be happening on the outside, but what we feel on the inside is like a massive tsunami of emotions and sensations and feelings. And I want you to think about something that triggers you, something that really creates a visceral reaction. You can think about a specific event, or you can think about it in the sense of a memory or a symbol. It doesn't really matter. Just allow that trigger, that emotion to come up, to reveal itself to you. And just allowing yourself to feel the sensation, to feel the emotions, just saying to yourself, I am safe. I promise you, you'll feel better by the end of this meditation. But once again, we have to awaken the shadow in order to deal with it, in order to heal it. We are trying to integrate this, not push it away. And so when you see this trigger, what is it? What is it bringing up? If you could put words to the emotions that you're feeling right now, what are they? Is it anger? Is it rage? Is it disgust? Is it fear? What is it? And I want you to try to narrow it down to a simple word. Whether it's just frustration, anger, fear, like I said. Just try to bring it down to a simple word. And connecting to this energy, to this fear, to this emotion, to whatever it is that you named it, I want you to ask it. When was the last time I was triggered? That I felt you, that I felt this frequency? What happened? Where was I? How did I react? And now ask yourself, if you could have showed up for yourself in that moment, how would you have liked to have reacted instead? Even though you felt the wave of emotions, if you could go back in time and handle that better, what would you say to yourself? What would you do differently? And now if it's possible, now if you don't find it, that's fine. But if you could ask this frequency, this energy to reveal itself to you the first time it was born, it was created. This is most likely at some point in childhood, or maybe a specific event that occurred in your life. Reveal to me the first time I was triggered, the first time this trigger was born. Where were you? What was happening? And now ask yourself, what did I need at the time that I did not receive? So this is a big clue for you guys, because if you can discover the first time this happened and whatever you didn't receive, this is going to help you to get out of the trigger every time it happens. So next time you get triggered, give yourself that very thing that you did not receive the first time. Whether it was love, whether it was comfort, whether it was kind words or a hug, give that to yourself. It's important that you become your own hero. All right, so now just coming back and once again, just feeling the trigger. And I'm going to challenge you right now. Instead of being afraid of this trigger, instead of being fearful of this trigger, I want you to speak to it. And this is where we're going to integrate it. If you like, you can repeat after me. You can just say it in your head if you feel more comfortable doing so. Trigger, I understand that you are here to protect me and to keep me safe. That you had a purpose. But I no longer need that purpose. I no longer need you to protect me. I now understand what it is that I need. And I now am able to give that to myself. I am so grateful for your lessons, for your protection. And I accept you. I accept you. And I embrace you just as you are. So I invite you now to work with me, to join me, so that together we can fulfill that need. Thank you. Okay. Now we're going to bring up the cyclical patterns. What is something that repeats in your life over and over and over and over again that you cannot get away from? Like I said, it could be abusive relationship. It could be the addiction itself. That's a repetitive pattern. Whatever that may be. Abandonment. And just inviting those emotions again, maybe thinking about a specific time or event. Just allowing that frequency to show up, allowing that shadow to reveal itself. And now asking the shadow, when was the last time I experienced this cycle? Where were you? What was happening? Who was there? And now inviting this frequency to reveal to you the first time this cycle was created. How old were you? Where were you? Who is connected to this lesson, to this shadow? And once again asking yourself, what was it that I needed that I didn't receive? Did people let me down? Did they hurt me? Did they abandon me? Did they abuse me? Whatever it may be. But what was it that I actually needed? Love, support, rescuing. And once again, just understanding that the next time this pattern shows up, how can I fulfill this need? How can I give this to myself? How can I show up for myself, fight for myself, be my own hero, love myself, rescue myself? How can I do that the next time this happens? And break the pattern, break the cycle, so that I do not have to experience this again and again and again, and finally resolve this trauma and heal it. And now bringing that cycle back to the present and integrating it once again. Once again, say it out loud with me or in your head. Thank you for protecting me, for revealing yourself to me time and time again so that I may become aware of what I'm not aware of. For giving me the chance time and time again to heal, to resolve the past. I am so grateful for you showing up and for being there consistently. But I am ready now to move forward from this cycle. I am ready now to change my life, to transform the past and therefore my future. And so, frequency, energy, I invite you now to join me, to join forces with me so that together we can transform, we can unite, and we can resolve this pattern, this cycle. I accept you and thank you. And finally, the mirror. Awakening certain aspects in other people or a specific person that really causes a strong reaction within you. Parts of them that cause emotions that are unpleasant. Think about a specific person. Could even be a parent that causes this. Could be a friend. Or could be a stranger, it doesn't matter. But just allowing the reflection or personality trait of somebody that really causes a big reaction within you. It could be when somebody lies, when somebody deceives, when they don't show up in time, when people cheat, whatever it may be, when people lie, deceive. Allowing those emotions to come up, and now ask yourself, when was the last time I felt this projection? Where was I? Who was it that I felt that projection from? What was happening? How did I react? And did I like the way I reacted, or would I have preferred to be more conscious of my reaction, less emotional, less impulsive, less angry, less frustrated, less impacted by that other person? And now inviting this frequency to reveal the first time this happened, where you felt all these emotions. But when we go back in time, what happened to you? How old were you? Where were you? What was the event? And why did you reject that part of you? Did somebody embarrass you? Did somebody put you down? Did somebody say that you were wrong for being bad, for lying? Did they shame you? What was it that happened that created such a discord with this part of you? And what did you need to hear instead? If somebody could have been more gentle and explained to you why this wasn't serving you as opposed to punishing you for being you, what did you need at the time that you did not receive? And bringing it back to the present. Now I want you just to see that person, the last person that caused that projection. Somebody who really triggers you. And as you see them in front of you, gently and slowly transform their face. And suddenly you see yourself. As if you're looking at yourself in the mirror. And I want you to say to yourself, I accept all of you. And I leave nothing behind. The good, the bad, the wrong, and the right. I accept all of you, and I leave nothing behind. I accept all of you, and I leave nothing behind. I'm just letting go of that resistance. Not repeating history where you berate yourself, where you put yourself down. But instead saying what you needed to hear and loving yourself unconditionally. All right, and slowly, slowly coming back, thanking the gold light, thanking your guides, your spiritual team, and gently, gently returning back into the room. You can wiggle your toes and fingers. Slowly coming back into your body. And when it feels right, you can open your eyes. Okay, guys, so I really hope that this helped. It is not easy to do integration work, but I promise you it can be so powerful and really change the way that you treat yourself. And then you'll discover that it will change the way that you treat other people. Okay, so leave a comment below. Once again, let me know how it went today, whether you enjoyed this process, and did you discover something about yourself that you didn't know. Keep paying attention to the 3 signs. Remember, cycle, cyclical patterns, gun, triggers, and mirror, projection. All right, guys, have a beautiful day, and I will see you soon.